This is Poland. And this is Hungary. What do they have in common? They're both located in Central Europe. Both have similar interest. And both have right-wing governments and hate the far left extremely hard. And communism. And both of them claim that they have strong borders. But anyways. Well, for the relationships go back as early as 800 years ago, from 1370 to 1382. The Kingdom of Poland and Kingdom of Hungary entered into a personal union and were ruled by the same king, Louis the Great. This period in Polish history is sometimes known as the Antiguła in Poland. Louis inherited the Polish throne from his maternal uncle Casimir III. After Louis's death, the Polish nobles, the Zlachta, decided to end the personal union, since they did not want to be governed from Hungary, and chose Louis's younger daughter Jadwiga as their new ruler, while Hungary was inherited by his elder daughter Mary. A second personal union with Poland was formed for the second time from 1440 to 1444, when King Władysław III of Poland was also King of Hungary. Years, from the 10th century to the first partition of Poland in 1772. The Polish and Hungarian ruling dynasties, such as the Piast dynasty or House of Arpad, often intermarried. Louis the Great was King of Hungary and Croatia from 1342 and King of Poland from 1370 until his death in 1382. He was his father's heir, Charles I of the House of Anjou-Sicily, King of Hungary and Croatia, and his uncle's heir, Casimir III the Great, King of Poland, last of the Piast dynasty. King Casimir had no legitimate sons. Apparently, in order to provide a clear line of succession and avoid dynastic uncertainty, he arranged for his nephew, King Louis I of Hungary, to be his successor in Poland. Louis' younger daughter Saint Jadwiga of Poland inherited the Polish throne, and became one of the most popular monarchs of Poland. In 1440 to 1444, the two countries shared the same king again, after King Władysław III of Poland became also King of Hungary. He was eventually killed in the Battle of Varna, in which a coalition of Central and Eastern European countries led by Poland and Hungary was defeated by the Turks. From 1490 to 1526, both countries were ruled by separate but closely related branches of the Jagiellonian dynasty, after Polish Prince Władysław, son of Polish King Casimir IV Jagiellon, became King Władysław II of Hungary. In 1576, Poland elected the Hungarian nobleman Stephen Bathory as its king, who is regarded as one of Poland's greatest rulers. The famous Polish hussars were modeled after Hungarian hussars. Friendship between Poland and Hungary typified the interwar period. However, Poland was among the victors of World War I, and therefore supported the status quo, while Hungary suffered unparalleled losses, and therefore pursued a revisionist policy. The ruling forces in both countries suppressed all revolutionary movements, and forced the Communist Party underground. As a result, both were hostile to Soviet Russia and Czechoslovakia. Support for a pro-Hungarian policy in Poland came mainly from conservative aristocratic centers in Krakow and Wilno. Anti-Czech feelings led Poland and Hungary to support Hitler during the Munich crisis in 1938. However, pro-Polish feelings made it impossible for Hungary to side with Hitler against Poland when it invaded in 1939-7 during the Polish-Soviet War, 1919-21. After the Belikon government in Hungary was overthrown, Hungary offered to send 30,000 cavalry to Poland's aid, but the Czechoslovak government refused to allow them through the demilitarized zone that had existed between Czechoslovakia and Hungary since the end of the First World War. Nevertheless, Hungarian munitions trains did reach Poland. In the beginning of July 1920, the Hungarian government of Prime Minister Pál Teleki made a decision to help Poland, delivering for free and at a critical moment of war at Hungary's own expense through Romania's military supply, 48 million rounds to Mauser, 13 million rounds to Mannlicher, artillery ammunition, 30,000 of Mauser rifles and several million spare parts, 440 field kitchens, 80 field ovens. On August 12, 1920, Skierny Weiss received transport, among others 22 million rounds to Mauser from the Manfred Weiss factory in Csepel. It was the single most important foreign military contribution to Polish war effort. Hundreds of Hungarian volunteers fought on the side of Poland in the war, and some stayed in Poland after the war. From the Middle Ages well into the 20th century, Poland and Hungary had shared a historic common border. In the aftermath of World War I, the victorious Allies had, at Versailles, transferred Upper Hungary as well as Carpathian Ruthenia, with its Slavic population, from defeated Hungary to Slavic German-Hungarian nascent Czechoslovakia. Following the Munich Agreement, September 30, 1938, which doomed Czechoslovakia to take over by Germany, Poland and Hungary, from common as well as their own special interests, worked together, by diplomatic as well as paramilitary means, to restore their historic common border by engineering the return of Carpathian Rus to Hungary. 9a step toward their goal was realized with the First Vienna Award, November 2, 1938. Until Poland got invaded, hang up fuck with both Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia. And that it had to become a satellite state of Mother Soviet Union. Okay. A student demonstration in Budapest in support of the Polish October and asking for similar reforms in Hungary was one of the events that sparked the Hungarian Revolution of 1956-15. During the revolution, Poles demonstrated their support for the Hungarians by donating blood for them. By November 12, 1956, 11,196 Poles had donated. The Polish Red Cross sent 44 tons of medical supplies to Hungary by air, even larger amounts were sent by road and rail. But then it didn't came in over until the Soviet Russia final collapse. By 1999 both of them joined NATO. By 2007 they made a friendship on March 23. And then a 2015 crisis, and here we are today. So both of them may have handled the pandemic kind of better than Western European countries, but when you compare per capita it isn't that much any better. In fact, New York City has almost the same number of people as Hungary, and Poland has the same number of people as California and Canada. The right-wing governments said no to illegal immigration, and they refused to accept any of them. Especially in 2015. I have a strict protocols and denying most of their visas. By building walls. Keeping them out. That's Germany got 1 million of them. And they just want Christianity need to top the country and forever. Poland also stands accused by Western countries and international human rights groups of curtailing the independence of media and courts, as well as infringing on the rights of women, migrants, and LGBTQ communities since the Law and Justice Party won power as part of a right-wing coalition in 2015. Same with Hungary. They claim that they don't want terrorist criminals or perverts, and they claim they're protecting their people. But they have criticized and blasted them for being homophobic and racist. Another policies. And then they slam the EU's policies nowadays. Even though they don't want to leave the EU. Mateusz Morawiecki and Viktor Orban get along quite well. Because they have the same ideas. Even though Poland and Russia tensions are rising again. Especially what's happening at the border in recent days with Belarus. Poland has accused Russia of being behind all of this whole time as well. Extension between Poland and Russia rises again. But as for Hungary, relations between Hungary and Russia are actually in fact getting better as Hungary goes south on Russia and China. And does not care about their EU friends. Besides Poland. Even though hopefully they can respect their opinions. And they both nice. And learning how to defends itself from terrorist. And any was. Shout out to Childish on YouTube. Anyways, later.